Climate Change by Leah Bell for Biology 101 with Professor De Lima. Why is the climate changing? Climate change is described as the shift in temperatures of the Earth over a long period of time. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s, the overall temperature of the Earth has been steadily increasing. This is due to humans' use of fossil fuels in industry, transportation, and agriculture. When we burn fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas, they emit carbon dioxide and methane gases that wrap around the Earth and trap the sun's heat to warm it. The graph shows the steady rise in temperatures in Celsius from 1850 to 2023. Biological effects of climate change. The systems and processes on Earth work together to sustain life. Climate change has had and continues to have devastating effects on biological processes in all parts of the world. As the Earth's temperatures continue to rise, organisms in the north and south poles that are adapted to live in cold climates are vulnerable to habitat loss as glaciers melt and their bodies can't maintain homeostasis with the changing warmer climate. As ecosystems change, some species are forced to move or migrate to new environments, causing increased competition for food and decreases in certain species populations. This shift in environment also opens the door for invasive species that interrupt the natural processes and food chains in an ecosystem. One example is the long-spined sea urchin. Technology as a solution. One of the most talked about ways to reduce greenhouse gases is to replace the burning of fossil fuels, a non-renewable energy source, with renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower. Technology could help us shift our heavy reliance on fossil fuels to harnessing renewable resources more efficiently. Examples of these are solar panels that convert light energy to usable energy to power homes, and electric vehicles that reduce our reliance on burning gas, reducing tailpipe emissions into the atmosphere. What is the greenhouse effect? Greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, etc., that when released into the atmosphere creates a barrier that traps heat from the sun in Earth's atmosphere. This is a natural process that keeps Earth at a temperature suitable for life, but as humans continue to release more CO2 and methane using fossil fuels, that balance begins to shift warmer than it should. In terms of the carbon cycle, CO2 from the atmosphere is used by plants in photosynthesis to create glucose. Plants and animals then break down this glucose to release CO2 through respiration. Decomposers then break down dead organisms and release CO2 as well. Role of fossil fuels. The carbon cycle is a delicate balance, so when human efforts produce more CO2 into the atmosphere, temperatures continue to rise. A surplus of CO2 adds to the blanket of gases around the Earth, causing the greenhouse effect to intensify, dropping more warmth and affecting the climate. Ecological effects of climate change. One major ecological effect of climate change is on coral reefs in the ocean. Reef bleaching happens when the temperature of the oceans increases and the reefs begin to lose their color. Bleaching doesn't immediately kill the reef, but prolonged bleaching will eventually kill it. Scientists say this is happening more frequently and for longer periods, causing 84% of coral reefs to be damaged. Coral reefs are important to marine ecosystems as they provide shelter and a breeding ground for many organisms. They also act as a natural barrier to protect from erosion, and they help regulate carbon and nitrogen levels in the ocean, supporting the carbon and nitrogen cycles. How it affects human health. Warmer temperatures mean droughts and dry conditions in places like the western United States. Droughts affect many people as they are harmful to crop production and mean less access to healthy drinking water. Dry lands are also more susceptible to wildfires, which can have devastating effects on human, plant, and animal life. Technological innovation number 1. Carbon capture, utilization, and storage, or CCUS, is the process of capturing CO2 gas from industrial processes and power plants that burn fossil fuels before the CO2 is released into the atmosphere. The CO2 can either be captured before combustion of the fuels or after. Pre-combustion capture transforms the fuels into CO2 and hydrogen before combustion. Post-combustion capture takes the CO2 after combustion in the form of a flue gas. These trapped emissions can then be stored in underground geological formations or combined with minerals to form a solid. Utilization of CO2 can be seen in enhanced oil recovery when the carbon dioxide is injected into oil fields to extract oil easier. These methods are helpful not only because they stop CO2 from entering the atmosphere, but are used to help extract useful materials. Technological innovation number 2. Lab-grown meat. Livestock emissions account for almost 15% of greenhouse gas emissions. Cows and sheep produce methane during digestion that adds to the greenhouse gas effect. Lab-grown meat uses the tissue from livestock and isolates certain cells which are then grown in a reactor to create animal-derived meat without the negative effects of livestock. This could mean less greenhouse gas emissions and less land having to be used for farming purposes. The downside of this innovation is the fact that the reactors needed to make the meat use energy from burning fossil fuels, as well as the fact that lab-grown meat takes a lot of time, expertise, and money to produce. Some argue that the effort that it takes to produce this new product isn't worth it when compared to normal farming. If the gas emissions are the same, there's no point in making this lab-grown meat, but only time will tell. In conclusion, climate change is real, and it affects all living things and their processes. It's our duty as humans to help repair the damage that we have caused to our home planet. If we do nothing, the future could look very hot for the coming generations.